if you're building something for the blind, why are you focusing on education? You should focus on skilling, basket weaving and candle making and chocolate factories and that sort of thing, something that will gain a livelihood. There is a language adaptation that always has to be done.
Yeah, that's right.
But other than that, the technology adoption is very similar for rural or urban kids.
True.
A lot of, I would say, student projects also mature into non-profits, especially in the disability tech segment. In a system where the resources don't exist, it falls onto the parents to actually ensure that the child is getting what they need. All these years later, India is our largest market. Blind people using Braille in general have a very close-knit network overall. A lot more people who believe in our cause, and therefore the likelihood of building the future that we intend to build just keeps on increasing with any of these opportunities. And his advice was basically, don't have a plan B, go all in. And it's such a great piece of advice because it forces you to apply the very last creative brain cell that you have towards achieving whatever you need to.
Hello viewers, this is Professor Guru Prasad. You're watching GIBS IRE Talks podcast powered by GIBS Business School, where we share some real stories of innovation, resilience, and purpose. Well, in my personal opinion, the true definition of a business venture means something that not just makes you financially strong or economically strong, but also that solves a societal problem to a larger extent. Well, I have somebody with me today who has this brilliant combination and has inculcated both of this in her venture. And I'm so happy to welcome, on behalf of all my viewers, let me welcome Ms. Sanskriti Dawle, the co-founder of Thinkerbell's Bangalore-based social enterprise, which has done a lot of innovation with regard to developing edtech for visually impaired kids. On behalf of all my viewers, let me extend my heartfelt welcome to you. Heartfelt welcome, ma'am.
Thank you
Welcome
so much
to
for
the show.
having me.
How's life treating you?
Great. Weather is great these days. Bangalore is blessed.
You're in Bangalore, so that happens to be a inbuilt advantage of beautiful
Absolutely.
weather, right? Let's not talk about the negatives, and which has many, like traffic. I meant to traffic and other things. Anyways, before I get into the subject, I was discussing with you off the camera. Your journey has been incredible. I love the cause that you are with. So before I get into that, take us through your past. I mean, take us through your school days, take us through your college days. How were you as a student? And there's a reason why I ask this question quite often. There is no link between what you were back then and what you are right now. I just want to know whether it's the same case with you.
Yeah, I mean, if you'd asked me back in college, say, when I first entered college, would I be doing this later? I don't think so, because I was very, I would say, research oriented. And in fact, what we built now also started off as research projects within human-computer interaction and computer science. And when we actually started building prototypes as engineers do, we realized that there's an actual opportunity in the field to make a huge difference, and the solution was in our hands. So it seemed unfair to not actually build it, scale it, and take it out there. So yeah, you're very right in terms of when you start off, you don't really see the whole picture, but in hindsight, you can connect the dots, saying, "Oh, this led to that, and that led to that, and that led to that."
True. I mean, was it like going along with the flow, or you had a clear vision and a clear plan while you were doing your engineering?
I can think of clear inflection points.
Okay.
Like there was always, throwing myself intensely into whatever direction I was pursuing,
Okay.
and being open to shift that direction if that was the environmental feedback or
That's
input, or in response to newer information.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that's a skill that has served me well in
That's good.
entrepreneurship as well, because uh, that's that's also a prime example of where you have to plan. You have to plan in great detail, and you have to execute on your plans. But you also have to be really flexible in terms of absorbing new information and tweaking or
Absolutely.
shifting your plans accordingly.
How were you as a student academically? Just
I
like
was
that.
fairly studious, yeah,
Mhm.
and till I got to college, I would say, because that was the first. Um, I mean, we were blessed with a zero attendance policy, and it was incredible. Like, the freedom was incredible, and I think it still is unique to BITS Pilani. And we also had this course called New Venture Creation. So it was a very unique environment as a student entrepreneur, where if you met your academic requirements, like, I remember having conversations with my parents where they were like, you know what, just pass your exams, we need you to graduate.
I actually wanted to ask you this question.
Yeah.
When you decided to do something on your own, how was your parents' reaction? Because generally, correct me if I'm wrong, the people otherwise expect you're doing decent well in your engineering. So people may expect you to, well, which branch of engineering you did?
Computer science.
Computer science. So I'm sure there would have been varieties of options for you to get into the IT and so many other things. So what was your parents' reaction back then?
Well, I think I'm personally privileged from an entrepreneurship point of view, because both my parents are entrepreneurs
Oh, that's great.
themselves.
That's
And,
great.
they are both civil engineers, and my mother's an architect and a lawyer also. And she was mostly.
Well, that's a beautiful combination, a civil engineer and an architect.
Yeah, no, they're both civil engineers, and my mom has acquired further degrees on top of that.
Okay.
She's now a PhD recently.
Oh, lovely, lovely.
But my parents, coming from I would say, professional services background, they basically were very intent on, you need to acquire industry experience and work in the industry, and uh, focus on higher education and things like that, which were that is how you build credibility and for your professional services, if that's the kind of entrepreneurship you're getting into. But what we were looking at was more of a product company, and so it was more skill based and not really.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so it took some time to sort of illustrate that difference, I would say. But the summer of 2015 really changed a lot of things. I think that was the year when food delivery apps were going crazy. There was Food Panda, Tiny Owl, and also lots of other offers flowing in, and venture capital was flush in the whole food delivery business. So there was this one time we'd ordered a whole spread of food at home, and some relatives were visiting, and my parents were asking, what is the bill for this? And I said, oh, it's some 700 rupees. And they could not believe it, because the amount of food on the table and the quality of food. Then we got talking about venture capital and discounting and that sort of industry, because I would say traditional entrepreneurs do not look at business from the VC perspective at all. It's a very, these are my accruals for this year. This is the profit. I will reinvest the profit, and this is how it will grow based on the profits of this year. But I would say the presence of VC, and I would say for us, impact investment overall has really upended the kinds of leaps that you can take with a business. So yeah, with my parents, I think it was more of a conversation on traditional models of entrepreneurship versus talking about, okay, these are some of the alternate models, new models that are coming up. Here are some of the examples that are out there. And they were extremely supportive.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
That's lovely. I made a statement in my opening remarks, giving my opinion on a true sense of, or a true meaning to a business venture, which is a combination of something which gives you economic strength as well as which solves the major societal problem. Your venture has the combination of both. What was the first thought when you decided to get into this? Was that economic feasibility or economic strength, or something that you want to give it to society in terms of nurturing this beautiful cause?
I would say it was initially motivated by, okay, let's solve this problem.
Right.
And how do we solve this problem? Because
Correct.
a lot of, I would say, student projects also mature into non-profits, especially in the disability tech segment. And so whether to incorporate as a for-profit or incorporate as a non-profit was a question we wrestled with for quite some time, listing down pros and cons, looking at examples, modeling the scalability over a number of years. But it boiled down to the fact that we wanted the innovation to be independently sustainable and not necessarily be at the whim of potentially the having a sustainable business model along with profitability is what ensures the long term
It does.
existence of whatever solution you're working on. And we live in a capitalist society, so
Yes.
that is how even if you are impact focused, if you want to create sustainable long term impact, you have to marry your purpose with profits.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Take us through your journey and Thinkerbell. How was the start? Challenges you faced? How did you elevate? Today, I'm so happy to inform my viewers that from a small start, now we are into multiple cities, multiple states. You've crossed the national borders. You've got into different countries. Journey has been incredible. Take us through that. I'm very excited to listen.
Okay. Well, we started originally to working on the prototypes, and we worked a lot, many iterations working with users, lots of components of our first product, Annie, which are first of its kind, only ones of its kind in the world, because nobody had actually done that before. Take the entire Braille learning process and digitize it into a single solution. So there was a lot of discovering new ground that went into it from an engineering perspective. And I would say because it's an innovative solution, it's been a constant journey of, okay, how do we do this? Figuring out how it is done, trying something, then trying again, learning from whatever has been done so far, that sort of thing. Of course, there were also all the regular ups and downs of the business as well. The pandemic was rough on us, and it was a time when social distancing was the norm, and
Yes.
Braille is something that was only taught by hand holding of teachers. So
Absolutely.
it was a
That
very
was a direct hit.
yeah, it was a very strange time, I would say, for the industry overall. But in hindsight, it was also a blessing in disguise, because that is when people realized the need for remote learning technology for Braille learning as well. I mean, when the entire world is studying remotely, why not children
Why
with
not
blindness?
children? Absolutely.
And so that sort of took on. But there's been a lot of, we started off with doing a lot of services projects and B-plan competitions and the like to put in capital in the company. And during the pandemic also, we sort of fell back on a lot of those scrappy habits to keep the company going. And I would say overall, it's been a very rewarding journey to not only personally discover saying this is how we're going to do it or this is what we're going to do, but also to discover new avenues and meet other people who are also interested and invested in the future we're trying to build. It's been honestly surprising. I mean, very early on when we started, we did not think that we would be building for India at all. But all these years later, India is our largest market.
I wanted to ask you this. Did you ever imagine on the day one that you would elevate to this level?
Honestly, no. We thought we would be like, okay, to some extent, we still are a niche business, a boutique firm serving a small number of people. But we thought we would be much nicher. And I think the world has also shifted quite dramatically in the last 9 years since the company was started, where inclusion or inclusive education is much more mainstream. Disability inclusion is much more mainstream. Using tech to achieve social impact, that is also much more mainstream. And conscious capitalism is as mainstream as Shark Tank.
Yeah.
So those are all shifts that it was impossible to predict 9 years ago.
True.
And that's something we've benefited from massively, because I would say social consciousness has elevated to a great extent. When we were working on the idea stage, I remember talking to someone. We were getting their feedback on the prototype, and they said something like, if you're building something for the blind, why are you focusing on education? You should focus on skilling, basket weaving, and candle making, and chocolate factories, and that sort of thing, something that will gain a livelihood. But why should it be either or? Why should it be either or? That's not what we say to any sighted child. We don't say, education and all is not for you.
Not for you,
Go
no.
get a library. That's not the
Brilliant
case.
point. Absolutely.
And I would say, as of today, there is nobody that even thinks that. I mean, the general awareness has gone up massively, no less in part due to students like Prathamesh, who've gained national mind share.
Absolutely.
Once you see him on TV, nobody's going to think, hey, why should that child get an education? Nobody's going to think that. And those are all societal shifts that would have been completely impossible to predict when we
I
started.
wanted to ask you this question: the societal mindset on such students. Do they see? We call them special kids. Do they really mean it? The society in general, the statement that you made a while ago, that somebody said that they don't need education, teach them something for their livelihood. You find the same mentality with many?
No, not anymore. Not at
anymore?
all. In
That's
fact,
what you said. Okay.
Yeah. I would say Shark Tank was a massive turning point where it brought that inclusive education need into the mainstream consciousness. The people are like, okay, why should this child not learn? Why should this child not be given all the aid that he needs? Whereas maybe through ignorance or exclusion, maybe people did not consider that earlier. But I don't. I mean, I would say the same transitions have been observed for any marginalized group of people in history as well.
Absolutely.
Like there would have been some decades ago where women's education would have been frowned upon, saying, "Oh, she's a woman. Why does she need to learn?" It's not that long ago that we heard that sort of conversation for women.
It's definitely not.
But we also know what all patterns that shift has undergone, where she's a woman, why does she need to learn? To fine, we'll send her to school, doesn't matter what she does later, to okay, schooling is a given, let's see what happens in employment inclusion, and to how do you slowly ensure there is complete inclusion at all levels, but it all starts somewhere with getting the schooling part right. So I would say the same levels and the same journey applies to any marginalized group. And with women, it was, I would say, completely societal. With students with disability, it is part societal, but also part resource based. Like
yes, agree.
So the solution is not simple. Oh, the society needs to mature. The solution is the society needs to mature, and the right solutions need to be provided at the right age.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Your product, your company is more catering into B2B, if I'm right. Did you happen to interact with the parents of these students as well? How is their acceptability to these products, to these services? Did you get a chance?
Yeah, quite high. I mean, we worked with parents extensively, even in the initial product design phase, and even.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, because I mean, parents have had a huge role to play. Like in a system where the resources don't exist, it falls onto the parents to actually ensure that the child is getting what they need. So lots of times we see it is parents who are learning Braille in order to teach their children, or it is parents who are sitting with their child in school like shadow teachers to take notes and then help their child learn, because whatever is happening in class won't be enough. And yeah, and but honestly, that's for the lucky privileged segment. We also have seen and heard like complete horror stories in some interior parts where children are sort of kept hidden away in
Scary,
homes.
yeah?
Yeah, in that's why awareness is so important, because families think, oh, what is the point of sending them to school? What will they learn anyway? And it is actually awareness that, oh, they can learn and they can actually go ahead from there, that boost. We've seen after the launch of Annie Smart Class, enrollment has shot up year on year in a lot of
Have you
schools of remote
tapped
areas.
the tier 3, tier 4 market? I'm talking about the rural areas, such
Yes,
schools. And
a lot. I think I would say a majority
is
of
it?
our classes are in aspirational districts,
Okay.
pan India. And I mean, there is a language adaptation that always has to be done.
Yeah, that's right.
But other than that, the technology adoption is very similar for rural or urban kids.
True. But I love the word that you coined. What did you say? Aspirational district.
Districts.
What did you mean
Oh,
by that?
it's actually it's a very widely used term by Niti Aayog also. There's a list of districts in India, that have the most.
Are you saying some districts are not aspirational then?
Yes.
Does it mean that?
Yeah. They've actually identified. Earlier they used to use. I also love the phrasing. Actually,
Exactly.
it's a great way to.
No, I really heard it for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of districts that are historically considered behind on developmental markers have been identified by Niti Aayog, and sort of given the mandate to progress on, these are your health KPIs, and these are your education KPIs, and these are your.
I should really find out on the statistics how many of them are really percentage-wise aspirational districts in Pan India.
Yeah, I mean, they're called aspirational because they have the most growth potential overall.
Okay.
And in fact, I mean, one of the things that happened was Annie was recommended as a model for inclusive development to all aspirational districts by Niti Aayog. That is how we, got our Annie Smart Classes operational through many districts in India, because what Niti Aayog was also focusing on is what are the scalable interventions that we can make that will result in non-linear development in these districts. And I mean, it's not just education; it's education, water, health, lots of tech deployed across all these segments that is actually being pushed by Niti Aayog. So that's been at the forefront of penetrating into some of the most remote areas in India.
So while you are catering to the Indian market, which itself is quite humongous in size, what made you to cross the national borders and get into some other countries as well?
So we had actually designed the product to be universally applicable. A lot of our initial user feedback also came from teachers and students in UK. We were working closely with Royal National Institute for the Blind, and adapting some of their curricula to teach Braille effectively. And one of the things that we developed in that journey was the learning platform called Helios, which is a companion app to Annie, which helps all the other sighted stakeholders in the child's. I mean, they could be sighted, they could be blind, but the child uses Annie, and Helios is used by the teacher, the parents, the school administrator, the government agency, to keep track of the child's progress and measure the learning outcomes and that sort of thing. So even if all of these stakeholders don't know Braille themselves, they can still be a part of the child's educational journey. And all of those insights actually came from studying inclusive education models in the UK. And I'd say right before the pandemic, about like 1 month before lockdown started globally, we had an inbound inquiry from this agency called American Printing House for the Blind. And they wanted to sort of look at our technology and see what it could do. And I'm so glad like my teammates flew out and made the meeting.
Wow.
Because then the world shut down after that.
After
So
that, yeah.
it was a lot of, I would say, um, blind people using Braille in general have very close knit network overall, because it is a small group. So whether you talk about email chains or Google groups or WhatsApp groups recently or whatever, the word of mouth is a very powerful thing. So we had, I would say, I sold our first Annie internationally in 2018, and yeah, we signed a contract with this American agency in 2021, and that version called Polly was actually in Time magazine's best inventions list of 2022.
Wow. Brilliant. Brilliant. Credit to you, credit to the whole team.
Thank you.
How many countries you have been serving so far? 7 plus?
Yes, 7 countries outside of India.
So, where do you see India when you compare to these 7 countries in this particular domain? How do you see it? I mean, it's better infrastructure wise, the reach wise, or you still find some improvisation that India as a whole can do on this?
I would say India is very unique because our numbers are staggeringly different.
Okay.
Like just the sheer volumes of students and children are completely different. Like in the city of Bangalore, you will find more visually impaired children than some other countries. And that's just India's differentiator. Like our population is just so different that I mean, no, not the population is not different, but the magnitude of the population is so different compared to the rest of the world that it would be apples and oranges to compare, I feel. But in terms of how to say,
Tech advancements?
I mean, tech advancement, not to toot our own horn, but we are making this tech in India that is powering Braille education across the world.
Across the globe, absolutely.
And so, I mean, I would say India is very superior in terms of technology.
Lovely. Great to hear.
And one other thing in terms of, I would say, people say a lot of things about government and government stakeholders and doing business with government and things like that. But at least in my limited experience, or in our limited experience, we've found that Indian bureaucrats are some of the most tech-forward group of decision makers to ever work with. They're tech savvy. They're you don't need to explain the benefits of new age innovative tech solutions over traditional things to them.
They're well equipped.
Yes,
tech savvy.
And there is overall an institutional and an organizational shift towards adopting technology that is present pan India, and that's not something people sort of commonly feel or they commonly think of. Oh, it's all very sarkar matlab this and babu matlab that, but I would say I've been consistently pleasantly surprised and grateful about just how tech forward we are as a country.
Any more countries in the list?
I mean, yeah, right now we have all our English-speaking countries: UK, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, Canada.
Wow.
And we have an Arabic version ready. So Middle East, coming to Middle East soon.
Wow, that's great. Fantastic. And that's the great market to tap, no doubt about it. Well, the journey has been incredible. And if I have to talk about you, you have been featured in Times Magazine, Forbes Asia, Shark Tank. How do you feel?
Great. That's great. We always, any sort of mainstream visibility gives us a lot more people who believe in our cause, and therefore, the likelihood of building the future that we intend to build just keeps on increasing with any of these opportunities. My personal high point was getting invited to Rashtrapati Bhavan.
Mhm.
That was
A great
mind
feeling.
blowing. It was a room full of 30 women entrepreneurs, and the president gave this amazing speech about how all women are engaged in this cause of nation building. And it really felt like one of those things that you read in your history textbook saying, okay, this is the contribution of women to the independence struggle
Wow.
or whatever. But it was very inspiring that way. And
Your parents were super duper proud.
oh, absolutely. My mother was actually there. It was
I know it.
incredible.
Lovely.
Yeah, when we had visited Rashtrapati Bhavan as one of the visitor tours, I think I was in class 8 or class 9 or something like that. And we were standing in Darbar Hall, and my mom was like, okay, we'll come back here someday.
Wow.
And, you'll be getting one of those Padma
So
Awards or
she
something.
had manifested this long back.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, mothers say anything. This is just, but yeah,
See?
I happened to go
Wonderful.
back to Rashtrapati Bhavan, and
Wonderful.
it was it was honestly great, but also a huge marker of, like, I remember I was sitting there, and I also had the chance to talk about the work we're doing, and alongside there were, like, I think it was Ghazal from Mama Earth who was sitting next to me, and that was also such an honor because we are seeing that a business like ours is being given a stage, um, like a traditional business, which is a lot bigger and a lot more mainstream, and I mean it's listed on the board and things like that. So from a government perspective, to know that the government supports even the smaller businesses, even the niche businesses, even the
That's good to know.
impact businesses, that's a huge feeling of being supported and recognized.
That's
Yeah.
great. While we are at the fag end of the interaction, I would definitely ask you this question: what is the vision for Thinkerbell ahead and Sanskriti in person? Maybe 2035. Where do you want to see yourself?
Well, for Thinkerbell Labs, we're branching out from foundational literacy and numeracy to education and professional use devices overall. We've developed our own Braille cell technology that is one third the cost of incumbents, and we're branching out into refreshable Braille displays. So these are Braille consumption devices versus Annie, which is a Braille teaching device. We're building the next version for what happens when a child learns Braille. What next? What do they use? So we're building more technology in that category. We're building AI-powered content adaptation, SaaS software as well. And overall, for a broader vision for Thinkerbell Labs is still to leverage technology to bridge gaps in disability inclusion across a range of disabilities. That's our broader vision. It's a huge scope, I would say, not just within visual impairment, although that's where we are starting and we are continuing, but the broader special education needs across all disabilities. And the inclusion sector overall has a huge potential, I feel. And for myself, I would want to continue working in this space, continue working on what I'm passionate about. It's a blessing, and it's a constant learning journey, and I'd be lucky to continue.
Let's add one more thing to it. What your mother manifested, maybe Padma Shri or something like that in your hand. How about walking once again to the Rashtrapati Bhavan?
I hope that happens.
Well, there are a lot of viewers watching you, and I'm sure many of them are eager to be the next Sanskriti. Any tips for them?
I will share the best piece of advice I've gotten from a college senior. When I was discussing, this is what we're working on, and we're planning to build our own venture and blah blah blah. And this was in our second or third year. So and then we said, but academics not doing so well. I'm a 6-pointer. So that's a little concerning. And he said, you decide what you want and then you go for it. Like, if you're concerned about academics, then don't settle for a 6 pointer, go for a 9 pointer. But if you want to build your venture, then don't think about academics and all that. That is, all of it is too small if you're thinking venture scale. And his advice was basically, don't have a plan B, go all in. And it's such a great piece of advice because it forces you to apply the very last creative brain cell that you have towards achieving
Absolutely.
whatever you need to. And I think that piece of advice has stuck by me throughout. So yeah, that's what I'd like to share.
Lovely. We keep sharing that as well. Always think beyond the four walls of the classroom or beyond syllabuses. That's where the real journey is. Academics is academics. But don't take her wrong. She doesn't mean that you should not, attend the classes from tomorrow. Right? It's always there, being good in academics. But you were very studious, as you said, in your school days and the college days, and you're a great entrepreneur right now. I think that's the real inspiration for all of us, right? You managed both of it. You have a long way to go. I think I take this moment to congratulate for your incredible journey, and GIBS is always with you, and any support that needed in taking your company, taking you to the next level. Our best wishes and blessings always there.
Thank you
Right.
so much.
I think, viewers, we had a very unique and a wonderful interaction. As I said in my opening remarks, being true to the definition of a business, which is also solving the real societal problems. And this is a real societal problems, which is taken care of. And on behalf of all the viewers, let me extend my heartfelt thanks for our time and great congratulations for an incredible journey, and congratulations also in advance for the journey that is going to come in the coming years. Thank you for being in the show.
Thank you so much.
Well, please don't forget to like us in all the social media platforms, GIBS IRE Talks, GIBS Business School. For now, this is Professor Guru Prasad signing off, and thank you for watching.